Mash he says what's worthwhile reflecting upon regarding events life. You always have to look at the ultimate result of what happens. Although initially it looks like it appears to be something which is difficult, he says you'll see something astonishing. When many things come upon us, we don't even choose they should come upon us. Events in our life. And initially it looks like tragic or something very negative. And ultimately, we praise Hashem. We're thankful that we have those experiences. And we find just to the contrary. Something that appears to be phenomenal and ultimately turns out not to be so great. Gemara has a question in Brochos, if you remember. Gemara has a shaila that if a person's field is inundated, flooded, destroyed, flooded out, but as a result of the flood, the silt from the river causes the field to be more fertile, so the next year's crop will be a better crop. You say Shechiyanu, would you say Dayan Emes? The field this year is destroyed. But ultimately, it's going to be phenomenal. A person finds a treasure, and at the moment, it's phenomenal. But when the king finds out that you have the treasure, or if it's found out, it's disastrous. It could cost you your life. Do you say Shechiyanu? Was presently you came upon a treasure? Or do you say Dayan Emes? Well, you don't say Shechiyanu, because ultimately it may cost you your life. So do you look at the present, or do you look at ultimately what's going to happen? It's a good discussion in the Gemara. Here, he says, initially we don't know how things are going to turn out. It seems to be terrible. But very often what seemed to be terrible ultimately was the greatest bracha that we praise Hashem for bringing it to us. And we find to the contrary, things which initially seem to be phenomenal and turns to be disastrous. This group of people traveling, and they went to sleep by a wall. I mentioned this once. As they were sleeping, a dog came and urinated on one of them. So immediately he wakens immediately, and he runs down to the river to bathe, to wash himself from the urine. And as he removes himself from that location, all caves in, kills all his friends. So initially he says, I'm the shlamazel. It has to be, I have to be the one the dog urinates on. But ultimately that saved his life. And he says, you see this repeating itself. It seems to be negative and turns out to be positive, and vice versa. The Gemara in Nida cites a pasuk in Tehillim. David says you find a person initially he curses God, then he praises Hashem. What's the case? So the Gemara says in Nida, a person's traveling, he has to take a boat, and this is the whole year. And on the way to the harbor, the axle of his wagon breaks, and he misses the boat. And now he doesn't know how he's going to be able to deal with the upcoming year, because this is his purchasing trip. And he's upset here. I mean, he's a devout Jew. What does Hashem do with him? This is the thank you. Then he finds out the ship never returned. The ship sunk at sea. All of a sudden, now he's praising Hashem. So initially, he's upset. He's chas v'sholem blaspheming Hashem, and now all of a sudden he's singing his praises. And this happened many times during the war. People believed there was a whole question of where the Jews should go. They were offered certain citizenship in Russia, or to go to Siberia, whatever it was, or to remain in Poland or go somewhere else. And many of them chose to go to Siberia. And because they chose to go to Siberia, they survived the war, even though it was difficult there. But those people, the ones who survived the war, the ones who went elsewhere, where the situation seemed to be, would have been better, they're the ones who perished. They were killed by the Nazis. So who knows? Yeah. It's not exactly what happened. Maybe it's the teenage version. Happened was there was a Rebbe in London at the airport, and the question was if they get on the flight, they wouldn't be able to daven mincha properly. So the Rebbe said, we'll stay in the airport, daven mincha, as we should, we'll catch the next flight. So he did not get on the flight, that's the story. Yeah. ומן הגודל שבדבורים שראו לכל לבחון בהם. He says, one of the most important subjects you should reflect on, Klilas matnos elokim lebalichaim b'tzemach adomo. He says, the universal good that Hashem, God, bestows upon all living creatures and plants on earth. Ba'akshom beis hatzorech aleim v'yitom. You know, you have seasons. Rain, seasonal. V'shomer hakosu v'hayesh v'havli agoyim makshim v'mashemam yidnu revivim halo ato Hashem elokeinu l'kiatosises kol eiler. Are there among any of the false gods of the nations that can bring rain, or can heavens give showers? Truly is you. It's interesting. Immediately, a person has a pain. A person has a fever. What is all this? A person has hunger pangs. But what's hunger? It's an indication that you're supposed to eat. How does a person know when he's supposed to eat, when he's not supposed to eat? Right? It means the body has to be nourished. So Hashem created a person the way a person has a problem, and if you don't dress it immediately, it could be very. So the person has a fever. I mean, this is chesed. It's chesed Hashem. But who appreciates it? If it wouldn't have been, it wouldn't be as it is. It would be disastrous. But it's, you know, all these things. People have certain resistance to have certain immunities. Of course, initially, they grew up in an environment which didn't meet hygienic standards. So therefore, they had immunity with their body. And later, when they were exposed to certain things, they weren't affected by it. Right? Many things like this. Now, well, you come from where I come from, okay? And therefore, one could survive, the other person can't survive. Or didn't survive. You know, they attributed the story with the bubonic plague in the Middle Ages. You know, they claimed, you know, Goyim, that the Jews poisoned the wells, or they cast some kind of spell on the wells. That's the reason why they succumbed to it, and less Jews succumbed to it, even though many Jews died also. Of course, the hygienic conditions of Jews. A Jew does his bodily functions, he washes his hands. Before he eats, he washes his hands. Erev Shabbos, he bathes. I mean, you told me in those years, they lived like animals, like barbarians. They never see it was a lot. When they would do their bodily functions, they would eat, they wouldn't prepare the meat, they didn't extract the blood, many things. All this actually was disease. It was an environment to bring about everything. The Jews, they were careful in all these areas. You know, what do we have to do this? Wash your hands, this and that. Understand? You know, kol ha'machlish something from Mitzrayim lo osim alecha. It says, if you keep my mitzvahs and heed my voice, so and so, kol ha'machlish something lo osim alecha. The disease of Egypt I will not bring upon you. And that's not why we do it. We do it because we're supposed to do it. A byproduct of that is you'll merit shmir. Hashem will watch over you. That's the byproduct. We do it for the right reason. But these are gifts. These are gifts. But it's such an inconvenience. It's necessary. sure. It did lead to that because they accused us that we were the cause. Definitely. Yeah, we caused the plague.